topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I am so excited about today's show. You know, for the last 6 months, we have had you write letters to us. You have contacted us at our offices about adding a show on weight loss. And I got to tell you, this is so dear to my heart. We will get into it with the show, but we found one of the top companies when it comes to weight loss. And I am so excited about having them on the show. Let me welcome our new expert, the New Hope Weight Loss Company. You are going to learn so much today. I know we've got a lot of people listening and watching today. Let's welcome the Senior Advisor, Fred, of New Hope Weight Loss. Good afternoon, Fred. Welcome to your first show.
Wow. Thanks for having me, Steve. And of course, as you mentioned, weight loss is a big topic right now.
Well, I just want to start this off, and I promise I won't get into this a lot, but I have a major weight problem. The thing with the weight, Fred, as you know, it's done damage to my kidneys, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. I mean, when you're overweight, there's so many health issues. And I got to tell you, and I'm on Medicare, my doctor, my nephrologist recommended that I go on this injection, which we're going to talk about today, which everybody wants to talk about. And I'm going to tell you, I am the biggest advocate. I am a believer. I'm a fan. And we'll talk about what it's doing for me. But Fred, first of all, tell everybody about New Hope Weight Loss.
Well, we have since, of course, COVID, we got into the telehealth field. And one of the biggest areas that needed to be addressed, and we knew we could do it with, and that is the skinny shot. That's compounded semaglutide and tirzepatide, also AKA Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound. As you know, Steve, weight, it can be debilitating for some people. We have patients that call here and it brings tears to my eyes that they have been struggling with weight, even childhood obesity, their whole lives. And the frustrations on their voices so we knew we're in the business of helping people. And we formed New Hope Weight Loss as an opportunity to help those who are struggling and doing everything, have tried every weight loss plan, program, you name it. Many of our patients have gone through everything, yo-yo diets to fen-phen to whatever the latest grapefruits and liquid diets.
You're talking about me, Fred. I have seen this movie.
Yeah. So I tell you, more of our business is compassion, because we can hear it in the voices. We see there's so much besides the health, the emotional side of having weight. Uh, we have a young lady that works here that actually used to sell women's bathing suits, and she said women would come in crying when they tried on bathing suits because they have trips coming up or events coming up, and so we really uh, have seen so much change. I have patients that call with the sadness in their voice, and then after they've been on our program and after they've lost 30, 40, 50 pounds, their whole voice changes, their personality is different. Can change you, not just your physical, but what it does for your head, the mental part of it. And a lot of people don't, Steve, the CDC actually 10 years ago called weight loss, obesity, a disease. And like alcoholism, a disease, so many people have told people who are overweight, well, you just need to diet. You have no willpower. Saying that to somebody who's struggling, and it's a lot more than just a willpower thing. So we love what we're doing, Steve, and just seeing the changes. This medication, it is truly a game changer. I lost 30 pounds myself in 3.5 months on using this medication. And I was overweight, not obese, but overweight. And you do have to have a certain BMI. We don't recommend, and we have patients come in here that are 120 pounds that don't need it, and they want to go to 105. We have to turn them away. So we're looking for people who really need the medication. We really scrutinize. We really want to do the right thing at the end of the day, and that is to help people lose weight.
Fred,
I
we
help.
have a lot of mature elder people. And
Mm,
like my girlfriend said, she's in her mid 60s. And she said, I do everything I can to try to
mm.
lose weight. But she's fighting those hormones, isn't she?
You know what? There is a lot going on, and this medication addresses a number of areas. Number one, it is as you know, a weekly injection. Now, some patients say, "Oh, I can't give myself. I don't like needles." You have to understand
That's me.
this is not a needle. This is an insulin needle. It's hair thin. You can barely see it. And believe me, you cannot feel it. It's subcutaneous injection, which means it's just beneath the skin. It's not in your muscle like a complex B12 shot or anything like that. It's just beneath the skin. So you do not feel it. So even for those people who are needle phobias, you can do this medication. So once a week, you would apply the medication uh, as an injection. And what it does is it works with a protein that we all have. It's a natural, these are called GLP-1s. It's a peptide.
Peptide.
So it works and targets your brain and gives you that full feeling. Amazing.
Fred, I got to tell you, I hate needles, hate them. And just the thought of me having to give an injection to my stomach was the hardest part. But I got to tell you, you're absolutely right. You do not feel a thing. Many times I've got to look down just to make sure I've injected myself because you just don't feel it.
Yeah. So anybody that's out there, any of your listeners, if that's a concern, I mean, there is an oral semaglutide available. but it's a sublingual. You put it under your tongue, but it's daily versus the once a week application of semaglutide or tirzepatide, which again, aka Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. It is a once a week injection, and like I said, targets your brain and gives you that full feeling. The best way to describe it, Steve, for me, is you ever eat and then when you finish eating, you go, oh, it's almost like a delayed reaction between your stomach and your brain. It's after you finish eating when you feel full. And sometimes I
Yes.
say, wow, I could have done without the last several bites.
Well, yes, absolutely. I know. I agree.
Well, what this medication will do, Steve, it'll send that signal right to you 2 or 3 bites in. So you're immediately, wow, I'm satisfied. And I'm an older guy. I was brought up, finish your plate, eat everything. When I was younger, we couldn't even leave the table until we finished everything on our plate. So I had those eating habits of making sure you could put my plates back in the cupboard. They were clean. But
Yes.
now, I tell you, now I can't even finish half of an entree. My wife and I split food. So you'll save money just by the food that
Yes.
the amount of food. Yeah.
Fred, what's really strange for me is, I got to tell you, not a large one, but I could eat a medium pizza, which I love, no problems. I look at the pizza before I've even eaten, and I was like, it just doesn't sound good at all. So not only the full feeling you talk about, but you look at food different.
Yep. It absolutely changes your whole relationship with food. Before I got on the medication, there's a thing they call intermittent fasting, which is absolutely great. And we should do that from time to time, where you stop eating at 6 p.m. the night before and don't eat again until after lunch the next day. That's intermittent fasting, and it's great for your body. It shocks your system, and it's absolutely, I couldn't do it. Before this medication, I could not do intermittent fasting because by 10:30 in the morning, I was a breakfast eater. Again, growing up, a lot of it's programming, how we're brought up. But growing up, I was taught, and they used to teach in school, the most important meal of the day is breakfast. So I was a breakfast eater my whole life. And, so by 10:30, I had to have some food or else I'm hangry, I'm shaking, But now with this, I have to remind myself to eat. By 2 o'clock, I'm like, whoa, I forgot to eat today. So your whole relationship with food changes. Your cravings. I've actually had, Steve, patients that say, Fred, my cravings for alcohol have gone away. I said, shit, I hope that doesn't happen to me. One thing I do.
Fred, we just got a text in from a listener. I am so glad you are doing this show. This is going to save a lot of lives, which I guarantee you it is. What I would like to know is, when you get to the desired weight, do you still have to do the injections weekly to keep your weight down? It's a good question.
Great question. It's the one I hear so often is, I can't afford, or I don't want to be on this that long. And here's the beautiful thing about it. Number one, over the program, as you hit your set points, there are some people say, okay, I have a goal. I want to lose 40 pounds. Once you lose that 40 pounds, and then they say, well, so often I lose 40 pounds, but then I gain it back. Well, what this medication will do is it does stay in your system. It does transform and change you metabolically. Besides the suppression of your appetite, that full feeling, and one of the other things besides turning you off, like you said, the pizza deal where you don't even want to look at food, when you do eat, the food stays in your stomach longer. So you have the full feeling longer. You don't get hungry again for
Mm.
some time. That's the other thing. But to address that question, you hit your goal weight. What this medication is doing is it's lowering all of your insulin. Insulin resistance is a big part of what this medication does. It was originally designed for type 2 diabetics.
I bet it. Yes.
Okay.
And,
So,
and now they're finding it's helping in other areas they didn't even know. One is heart
yep,
health.
absolutely. Absolutely. So it is, and and again, I want to address the question, but it brings me to other topics when you bring that up. But to address that question, your A1Cs, your body is in balance a lot more because insulin resistance prevents you from losing weight. It's a way. So when your A1Cs come down, you not only lose weight, but you continue to be able to maintain a lower insulin number, a lower sugar rate. So what I've done is just to maintain, I'll give myself a small dose every 3 or sometimes once a month, and it keeps me in check. Keeps me in check. Now, I'm not saying that everybody can do that for their maintenance, but all of this skinny shot is just a tool. It's just a tool to help you get to certain areas of your life. Hopefully, through the process of losing that weight, one of the things you'll be fearful of is gaining it back. So you're going to
Yes.
be conscious. You're going to be conscious once you lose all that weight that you'll have all skinny clothes, so you don't want to grow out of your clothes. I had a patient actually tell me once. He said, "Freddie, I am so glad I didn't throw away my skinny clothes because I'm back in them." And that's the other thing. So a lot of things will happen. Habits will change. You'll realize for a lot of people they need encouragement. They just need to see change. Once they start to see change, it's game on, right? Steve, you would think that
Absolutely.
you,
Absolutely. And they
nothing's
have to
more.
be patient, Fred. People
Yeah,
need to be patient. The expectations, I am losing about 2 pounds a week, which doesn't sound like much,
that's
but
amazing.
in a month,
That's
that's
awesome.
8 pounds.
Yeah,
And,
that
we
is
start
awesome.
multiplying that, and I'm just as happy as can be because, like you, I tried so many things and it gets discouraging when nothing works or it works the first week and then it quits. But I was going to tell you, Fred, can you imagine when somebody goes into, say, a GNC and they go, I want to lose weight, and they hand them a pill? First of all, they know nothing about their health issues. They know nothing. They just give them a pill. And everybody's body is different. But with this skinny injection, it seems to work for everybody.
Yeah, and it is a customized plan. In other words, for some people, and the way you start the medication is you start low with a very low dose,
Point 0.5.
and yep, and over time you increase that dose. So that is why it takes a little bit of time in the beginning for your metabolic system to change. So it takes about 6 weeks before you start to see big changes. But then as you increase your dose, the amount of medication that you're applying, you start to see more results. So in the latter, after that period of time, you'll really start, because the reason you have to start low and work your way up is there are side effects Steve, with all medications.
Yes.
Okay. And you've probably heard people, and your listeners have probably heard all negative things,
We're
oh,
getting them right now. We're getting
about
texts right now about the
nausea,
side effects.
about
Yes.
nausea, vomiting. I can't take the medication. I tried it. You know what happens sometimes, Steve? People, they apply, everybody's different. They apply too much medication too
Yes,
quickly.
absolutely. I agree.
So it's really something
They
important
think
for
it's
your
going to
list.
work faster, Fred. They think, wow, if it does this, and it's all pre-measured for you, which is really nice about the pen. You don't have to worry about, did I measure it right? But I think you're really right that when I think people go, you know what, I want it to work faster and I want more pounds, and they don't follow the directions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've had patients that try to lose weight for a wedding, or a cruise, and they,
Yes.
they have 4 weeks to lose 30 pounds. It just doesn't work that way. Again, Steve, I can't emphasize enough that it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a tool to
Yes.
use in conjunction with. It doesn't mean you can eat anything. You still have to be smart. It's about a combination. It's a multi-prong approach to weight loss, and this is one of those prongs that will definitely help you along that path. But you still need to exercise, moderate exercise, take walks. You still need to watch what you eat. The medicine will help you watch what you eat, because believe me,
Yes.
when you first start on it, if you want to get nauseous, eat fried food or things that you shouldn't eat. Oh, yeah, the medication will tell you. You get a little spanking.
Now, Fred, there's about 4 or 5 different name brands out there. Which one do you like?
Uh, Everybody's different. I like semaglutide, aka
Okay.
Ozempic, or
That's what I
Wegovy.
take.
Now, there are some people who tirzepatide is the better alternative. There's less side effects with it's quote, AKA, is tirzepatide, AKA Mounjaro. However, I prefer semaglutide. But for those people who had tried semaglutide or Ozempic, and they were too nauseous, they just couldn't take it, I highly recommend, strongly suggest you try tirzepatide. And that tirzepatide will definitely less side effects. You'll get the same results. They're both GLP-1s. GLP-1s, and those are peptides, and that's what they are. So,
Fred, we only have a few minutes left. I want you to and we'll do this again next month on your next show, but you have developed a blood test that you're going to be giving to people that is going to give them so much information. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about that? We'll go into it more on your next show.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people need to know first when they start out, what is my problem? What's going on inside of me? And we have the ability, we have a home test. You call our office and you say, I would like the home test. And it's a nominal cost. We ship to you a kit where you'll swab your mouth, drop the swab in an envelope, and ship it back. We send it into a robotics lab that will send you a full report on 10 areas that will dramatically change your life. It tells you what's going on in your system, and we can provide you with a customized plan just for you, because everybody's body's different, that will fit your body type and everything that's going on based upon that swab and that DNA. We can pull everything from your system from that one swab, all at home in the comfort of your home. And the same with the medication. It's easy as 1, 2, 3 to get the medication. One, a quick phone call with our doctor to get a prescription. It is doctor prescribed. And then step 2, Order the medication. We'll ship it right to your front door as a home kit with everything you'll need to apply the medication once a week. And then step 3, start losing weight.
Fred, you got to get out of here. Give everybody your phone number and your website.
Oh, the website is www.newhopeweightloss.net. N-E-T. That's not .com, .net. newhopeweightloss.net. N-E-T. And the 1-800 number is 1-800-527-2150. That's 1-800-527-2150. 2150. Let's get started on that journey today.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve, and
Fred, thank you.
your wonderful
Thank
audience.
God Fred will be back again with us next month with more Ask the Experts. Thanks, Fred.
Okay, my friend.
Wow, I'm telling you, this injection is amazing. It works, folks. I'm doing it. It works. Hey, we've got another great expert coming on with us. You know what? The dirty word is taxes. People get behind them. But this show is going to help and make it a good word. I think we've got Barry Fowler with us. There he is.
Good afternoon.
You've always got such a big smile on your face, Barry. That means you must be helping people more.
Because we enjoy what we do, and yeah, we started the morning off saving somebody $14,000 just in our very first phone call to the IRS to get started with them. Put a nice hold on their account, and we're working on trying to abate about another $130,000 worth of penalties here in the next few months, hopefully. So yeah,
it must be wonderful for you to wake up in the morning and the amount of people that you help, because it is such a burden when you've got the IRS after you and you don't know what's going to happen next. And then there's a company out there like Taxation Solutions that you no longer have to talk to the IRS, and you know this business backwards and forwards.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been doing this very long time. I always tell you, hey, I've been doing this since.
There he goes. Come on, grasshopper, Barry.
And you know, it dates me. Yeah. that grasshopper would be really old right now. At least that's the way I feel. But I enjoy what we do, and being able to help somebody, especially somebody that just signed up with us and put their trust in us to do something for them, that we make a phone call, get a hold of the IRS and talking to them. Our first goal was just to put a stop on collections and let these guys get some sleep without worrying that the IRS is going to take everything they have, levy their bank accounts. You know, we needed to do something for them, and that's what we did immediately out there. And then immediately, as well, while I was on the phone with them, I convinced the IRS that we needed to do some penalty abatements, and we got some of the penalties abated. Not everything we wanted, and we've got to file some paperwork to get the rest of it, but we were able to get 14,000 eliminated here today. So that was really cool. You know, now we're working with somebody else that, you know, they've been with us about 2 months, been a little slow getting paperwork to us, but they owe about $1 million. We're putting the program together for them that with everything that we're going to do for them, they're going to save about $775,000.
Wow.
They will be paying, you know, $225,000 or a little bit more to the IRS over the next few years, but it's a nice program that's going to save them quite a bit of money and put them in a better place, you know, in the next 2 years. So that's going to be really good for them. And, you know, we've got tentative approval that we're going to be able to get it done. We've got to give them some more support to the IRS. And so they're working on it, and we're going to get there. So it's been a really good day here today, as it is normally here with us at Taxation Solutions, helping our clients get the IRS off their back, let you sleep at night. never have to call them. All these fun things that you and I keep talking about.
Barry, I got to tell you, what you do for people who owe back taxes. First of all, I want people to know that they might be saying, well, my situation's different. Barry, you've got so many things that you can do to save people. It's not just, well, if this doesn't work, we're out of luck. You've got a lot of things in your bag of tricks.
I've got a lot of things in our arsenal. Yeah, we can use that term here in Texas. So, we know how to pull, which thing we need to get things done, whether, it's an offer and compromise that everybody hears on the radio all the time, or it's a partial pay installment agreement, or even putting somebody in non-collectible status, or even doing an installment agreement for them. Everybody's situation is different. I learned a long time ago that in this business, and every one of the people that work for me, we enter what we call as a non-judgment zone. We pass no judgment on you, on how this happened, or what you did or didn't do to get into this predicament, or maybe what somebody else did to contribute to it. We don't want to pass judgment on you. We understand things happen in life. It's always going to happen. What we want to do is put you back on, solid ground, being able to live your life, walk down the street, do what you want to do with your husband, your wife, your family, without having to look over your shoulder, without that big old IRS monkey on your back, and be able to get back to where you used to be without having to worry, hey, is the IRS going to take everything out of my bank account? Because they do. You're going to see these letters now. IRS is firing off letters rapidly, and they're back into heavy collection activity. Not to scare everybody, it is happening. And, they're threatening to levy the bank accounts. They're threatening to take what you have, going after wage garnishments and everything else. And this is the way it used to be, and they're getting back into that. We all know our government needs money. And the only place the government gets money is from you and I. So they're coming after everybody that owes money. They may say they're only coming after large dollar ones, but I've seen letters coming after people that owe 20,000 or 30,000, and they're coming after them to levy their bank accounts and take what they got. And that's where we come in and stop them. We put that roadblock. We stop the IRS from doing what they're going to do, and put the roadblocks up so that we can get the settlement that you qualify for, the best settlement for you, and also, working within the IRS rules to make sure that, what you're going to put together is the right thing and something the IRS is going to accept. I mean, sometimes it is full pay. Sorry, you qualify for that. Sometimes it's that offer and compromise. And sometimes it may be just a partial pay installment agreement or non-collectible. And everybody's situation is different. And that's why we analyze every single situation to your life and what you have going on in your income and your assets.
Barry, tell people, listen, we understand that people, think that sometimes they can handle the IRS themselves. First of all, try getting a hold of them, right, Barry? But explain to people how much trouble they can get themselves into by trying to handle it themselves.
Well, I'll use the client that we just say 14,000. They were trying to handle things themselves, and what they ended up doing is talking about where they had their accounts, talking about the money and availability, and the IRS came in and levied. Now, unfortunately, in this situation, they couldn't do anything about it. They called us after everything was done, and the IRS already took the money, and then they went, well, what can you do for us? Well, we said, hey, look, this is, we're going to put these things in place, but we're fighting against what they've told the IRS before to be able to put solutions in place. Now, we're able to get a hold on their account so that the IRS isn't going to take any action, at least for the next 30 days. And I'll extend that out even further if we need to. And to recharacterize everything they got going on in their business so that we can put a better solution in place than what they got themselves into, talking to the IRS themselves. They weren't able to evade penalties. I was. Matter of fact, I even had a consultant that came in afterwards, and he kind of screwed things up as well. And we're having to help backtrack out of some of the things he did. So you kind of got to watch who you're hiring, and also, what they can do and what their knowledge is behind all this as well. The other thing is that what you say to the IRS is absolute gospel, meaning it is written. It's kind of written in stone, like Moses and the Ten Commandments. Changing those things that are written in stone are sometimes really, really hard, because what came out of your mouth has to be true if it benefits the IRS. Now, if you said, hey, I wasn't making very much income and you can't support any of it, then the IRS is going to say, hey, our numbers are correct and you can afford to pay, no matter what you said. But when you make the mistake to say, hey, I've got more in assets, or more in my checking account, or I make more income, or whatever it was that made the IRS think that we can collect more money, they're going to believe that. Now, when you say I don't make anything and you really do, they're not going to take that as gospel at all. But you kind of got to watch what you're saying and what you're doing and how it's done. And especially, the IRS has hired a lot of new agents. And so we end up working with a lot of these new people and training them and teaching them what the IRS can do or can't do, or what's in the Internal Revenue Manual, to explain to them how we do it. The young lady that I dealt with this morning on one of the cases was absolutely brand new, and she was like, I can't do this. Well, yes, you can, and here's how you do it. Okay, we got the 30-day hold. Yes, you can do these penalty abatements, and here is why. She went in and did them for me and got them approved, because we quoted where it was in the IRM to be able to do these things, and she was able to do this. And then getting off the phone, she's thanking me, and they didn't teach me this here at the IRS. No, they didn't. They taught you how to what? Collect money. That's it. Not how to help the taxpayer or do the right thing for the taxpayer. Just collect money from the taxpayer, and that's it. So when you're dealing with these people, you kind of got to watch what you're getting into and who you're dealing with. And then in our place, I know enough to be able to school them and teach them, hey, what they should be doing, how they should be doing it, and what's going to benefit both, not just the taxpayer, our client, benefit future taxpayers that they deal with, but also benefit the government, because they are going to get these people back into compliance with the IRS and hopefully paying just the right amount of taxes they owe, nothing more. And that's fair in this system.
Barry, Barry usually has a good story every time, and I love the ones where you had to go above their head to their supervisor. But it just shows you don't just take no for an answer. There's times where you've got to go above them, and you do it.
Oh yeah, and we had to do it, just the other week as well. We actually had a client came to us, and they had gotten levied and then decided to come to us. They had been actually talking to us, and they wouldn't commit to using us. Well, in the meantime, they got levied on their account, and we had to sit down and deal with the revenue officer that did the levy. And come to find out that our client, they kind of did some of the things they should have done and some of the things they shouldn't, and they filed for some hearings, which actually benefited us. They may have done it wrong and the wrong timing on it, but they were granted this hearing, and the revenue officer and his manager actually signed off on doing this levy, and they needed territory manager approval. And when I was talking to one of the revenue officers, and then I was talking to the cap appeal on this, I had found out the territory manager hadn't signed off on it. So we went to the territory manager and said, hey, they did this levy, but we don't have your approval on this form, and therefore the levy can't stand. So the IRS ended up releasing the levy and giving them their money back. And then I was able to convince the territory manager to give me a 45-day hold so that we could actually put in place a payment plan. Client was happy we got the money back, but he's not happy that we're going to actually put him in a payment plan. But we have to do it because it was one of the only ways I wasn't going to get the territory manager to turn around and do an immediate levy as soon as his cap appeal was done, which would have been, this week. So we agreed to release the cap appeal, and territory manager released the funds. And then we're agreeing we're going to get into an installment agreement. What happens after that, we'll see, but it's the fun things that we get to do. Days like today being a Friday, and I was able to do the things I got done today, I'm going to have a great weekend. And those two clients are going to be having a fantastic weekend, knowing that, hey, we just released money to them, and, we saved them some money on penalties, and we got a hold on their accounts, and nothing's going to happen. So they're all good. Steve, I would say this, we could talk about this all day long, but I can't.
Well, I love talking about this.
Without picking up the phone to call us at 877-996-6477. That's where it starts. That free call, free consultation at 877-996-6477. And if you're just nervous about picking up the phone and call us, it's no judgment. We just want to talk about what the problem is and see where we can help you or how we can help you. And even if you want to go do it yourself, call us. We just want to talk and give you some free advice on, hey, maybe you should be doing this yourself. Or maybe, what somebody else is doing and they're going to do it, and you want to know, hey, should this be the route I go? We want to have that free consultation. But if you're afraid to pick up the phone, you can always go to taxationsolutions.net, fill out our contact page, and we can email with you or chat with you as well. I mean, we are here to help every taxpayer that has a problem with the IRS and stop the IRS from doing those collections on you.
Hey, Barry, here's Walt in Friendswood, and we get a lot of this. What do you do if you don't have any money to pay the IRS?
Well,
that one before, Barry?
The IRS thinks they can get blood from a turnip. So unfortunately, the IRS is still coming after you. What we need to do is really sit down and analyze your position and find a way that we can put the right solution in place for you. Like I said, everybody's situation is different. And in your situation here is, you don't have the money to pay it. Depending on what you're making, you might be right. Depending on your assets, you might be right. If you don't have very much income coming in, and a lot of people may make six figures and say, hey, I'm dead broke. And just because you're living your life where you're spending every single dime to the IRS, you still have the ability to pay. Unfortunately, you may have a house note that is, way above what is considered national standards. And just because you're trying to live above your means or what the IRS allows when they're looking at offers and compromises or looking at payment plans or looking at partial pay, there's got to be a way we've got to compromise and put the solution in place. And sometimes that means we got to go partial pay installment agreement where we can set it up to where you get a chance to restructure your life a little bit and pay a low payment over the next year or so. And then it steps up. But we've got to look at your situation and kind of talk about it. We've even taken people where they've had the means to pay. Meaning we finished the 433, which is their financial information, and we may finish like a 656 offering compromise. And it shows that maybe you can afford to pay $500 a month. but you have one car and you're married, or one car, you have two cars, one's paid off and one's not. Well, we've taken people, and remember, everybody's situation is different. So don't jump out and just buy a car to buy a car because you owe the IRS. I got to warn people because I don't want that coming back to me. Everybody's situation's got to be different. But we took somebody and they actually bought a second vehicle, had a second payment. And instead of paying the IRS the $500, we put them on a maybe $100 payment a month. And the rest of the money went to paying for their car. So basically, it was like the IRS buying them a brand new car.
Yes.
And paying less to the IRS. You're going to pay the same amount, but we found a different use of the funds so that it puts you in a better position than it did the IRS. But everybody's situation is different. You know, we've even gone to the extreme measures of telling somebody to get a divorce because the debt was, let's say, the husband, and it wasn't the wife's. But if you're married living together, then we got to do combined income. Wife divorces the husband, or husband divorces the wife. It's his debt. Now you got two separate households, and now we can do an offer of compromise. So everybody's situation is different. Don't jump out and get a divorce just because I said that here either. You know, we've got to sit down and look at the situation. You don't want to see the look the wife gave me over that conversation. But at the end of the day, they realized that, hey, this was going to be a benefit to them. They got back together, you know, a couple of years later and everything. They still were sociable and still, you know, acting like husband and wife. They just weren't living together. So everybody's situation is different, and you've got to put different programs in place for different people and figure out a way to help them that's beneficial to them and makes the most sense. The divorce was a drastic measure, and it's something that just had to be done to A, save that relationship, B, settle the tax debt for far less than what they owed to the IRS or what he owed to the IRS, and get them out of trouble and then get them back to living their life and enjoying their life the way it should be and the way it's meant to be. You shouldn't be living your life fearing that tax monkey that's on your back. You shouldn't be living your life fearing the IRS every day of what they're going to do. People fear the IRS and those wonderful little love letters they send out to you when you owe money or you forget to file their taxes. You fear a envelope. The envelope doesn't bite you. What's written on there doesn't bite you. Ignoring it does. And that's what you got to watch out for.
Well, the great thing about Barry handling this for you, and by the way, Taxation Solutions is just the perfect name for your company because you do come up with solutions. But just imagine not having to look over your shoulder, wondering who's going to be calling you next. Once you sign with Barry, it's all put in his lap, basically, but he knows what to say to them.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, we get on the phone pretty much daily with the IRS. There are some days that I'll tell you, it is a nightmare getting through to the IRS, even for us. And we've got a priority hotline that we call the IRS. And we'll be in the middle of discussions, and I would swear the other revenue officer or the agent we deal with hangs up the phone and says, "Oh, we got disconnected." But it happens. I mean, even kind of like this morning, it was an hour sitting on the phone and waiting for them to come on and answer. Other times we get in right away and, you know, we're able to get through it. But we deal with this every single day with the IRS. We understand it. There are times that we can call and get through really quick. There are times we just got to be persistent and keep them on speed dial and keep going until we get the answer. And there's times we deal with some less than knowledgeable people, you might say, at the IRS. And you just have to hang up and start over, you know, and find somebody that's going to give us the answer that we want, not the answer that, you know, we've got to deal with.
Well, Barry, first of all, let's give everybody your phone number and your website. And Barry will be back again with us next month, by the way, too.
Well, it's taxationsolutions.net. Again, taxationsolutions.net. And our phone number is 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. We're here to stop the IRS, stop their collections, put holds in place, get your life back. And it has to start by you making that phone call. We don't call you until you're a client of ours. You're not going to hear any spam phone calls like I get, people telling me that I owe tax money, and I know I don't. But I have fun with them as well. Tell them you're on a recorded line, and they'll hang up really quick. That's what they did with me yesterday. But
Barry, thank you so much.
Free call, free consultation.
That's Barry Fowler at Taxation Solutions. Thank you, Barry. We'll see you again next month, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
That's Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions. Don't be embarrassed, folks. Happens to a lot of people with their taxes, and Barry can help you. Hey, that's it for us. We'll see you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.